wharf to clear your barrel?
Driver, turn up that a little bit for me there.
Starting May 1, use contactless clearance to clear your non-commercial shipments and avoid the long wait. Call Jamaica Customs today at 876-922-51408 or email contactlessclearance@jca.gov.jm.
But God goody, me I go call customs and learn about that contactless clearance. Hook me up.
Less waiting, more convenience. Try Customs contactless clearance today.
The return of Mabay Crab Fest. Father's Day weekend, Saturday, June 17th. Pier 1, Montego Bay. Family Fun Day starts at midday. Showtime, 8 p.m. Featuring Bugle, Agent Sasko, Wada, Ding Dong, Lali, Top Man, Pastor Blake, and Governor. Hosted by Pretty Boy Floyd. Music by the best DJs. Get your pre-sale tickets online at MabayCrabFest.com or at Fontana Island-wide, Pier 1, Montego Bay, and El Paso. Plug members, enjoy 50% off online. Mabay Crab Fest.
Berger Paint's massive yard sale is on. Get discounts on Berger Paint, wood varnishes, painting supplies, and more from June 13 to 16 at Berger Paints Jamaica Limited, 256 Spanish Town Road, Kingston, and the Berger Dippers at 5 Caledonia Mall, Mandeville, and Unit Y2 LOJ Complex, Freeport, Montego Bay. Save big at the Berger Paints massive yard sale. 4 days only, June 13 to 16. Berger Paints for lasting beauty and protection.
Montego Bay! Montego Bay! Turn me loose! Turn me loose, y'all! The 8th of July, Captain All Sports Complex featuring Capleton, I Win, Professor Nuts, Admiral Bailey, Junior Cat, Peter Metro, Little John, Nitty Kutchi, Tristan Palmer, Josie Whale, Tishana, O'Neill Famous, Terry Gansey, Screwdriver, Rogies Black and On, Bad Gal Jane, Singer Jane, Billy Slaughter from Stone Love, Dick Music, Creation, Metro Media, 5,000 at the gate, 4,000 in pre-sold. Get your tickets at www.turnmeloosechamps.com.
Introducing the new $2,000 note. The new $2,000 note was created to help bridge the gap between the $1,000 and $5,000 notes. With the introduction of the $2,000 note alongside the $1,000 and $5,000 notes, fewer notes will be required to settle transactions. For example, instead of using 4 $1,000 notes to settle a transaction of $4,000, an individual could use just 2 notes, a combination of 2 of the new $2,000 notes. This substitution effect will lead to less reliance on the heavily demanded $1,000 bill, as well as generate cost savings for the bank over time. Get to know Jamaica's new $2,000 note.
Beneficiaries. The PATH payment cycle begins on June 19, 2023. Post offices and payment agencies will deliver payments based on last names up to July 3, 2023. Check the weekend star to find out when and where you should collect. If you miss your date, you must collect between July 4 or July 5, 2023. For more information, call PATH at 876-922-8007 or visit the ministry's website and Facebook page. PATH, advancing your family, developing Jamaica. A message from the Ministry of Labor and Social Security.
Are you looking to achieve good health? Wondering how you can start your health journey? Well, we have just the information you need. Join me, Maisha Brody, this and every Tuesday during the Live at 5:45 news package for Healthwise. From your physical to your mental health, modern medicine and herbal remedies, we will explore how you can achieve and maintain good health. Brought to you by Value Life Pharmacy, Wellness for Living. Shops 6 to 7 White River North Commercial Complex, Ocho Rios. Call or WhatsApp prescriptions to 290-6491. Royal Luxury Body, the exclusive body sculpting palace. Exchange St. Anne. Call 876-429-7005 and get sculpted today. You deserve it. And Surgix Jamaica Limited, compassionate healthcare. 7 locations island-wide. Call 631-5295. That's Healthwise with me, Maisha Brody, this and every Tuesday during the Live at 5:45 news package on the nation's #1 Irie FM.
Crack. Once upon a time, and Nancy used to live into a village where you get a name as according to how your character.
From Anansi to Miss Lady or Little Miss Jingbang, she weaves tales from the loom of her practical knowledge of the Caribbean, her life skills as a mother, grandmother, educator, communication specialist, political scientist, social and cultural policy researcher or analyst, and farmer.
Wriggle me this, wriggle me that. Guess me this wriggle and perhaps not. My father have one piece of yellow yam and he make it serve the whole world.
This Thursday, June 15, 12:30 p.m. to 1:30 p.m. on the road to success, we will journey with award-winning writer, actress, storyteller, founder, and artistic director of Ntukuma, the Storytelling Foundation of Jamaica, Dr. Amina Blackwood Meeks.
Hello, 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 one and all, short and tall, big and small. Big is me, Amina Blackwood Meeks, and small is Kishima Francis, but only in size. I'm going to be with her this week Thursday on the road to success on the Easy Skanking Show. Look here, one or dead, no call it dope.
That's Road to Success, the journey geared to inspire, uplift, educate, motivate, and entertain. This and every Thursday inside the Easy Skanking.
Say I am a success story, yeah, success, a success story. I am a success story, yeah, success.
The mission of the Ministry of Legal and Constitutional Affairs includes revising Jamaica's legal and constitutional infrastructure and accelerating the pace of reform. The time by the MLCA is...
It is now 12:40. All right, good afternoon, and the moment we've been waiting for. I do apologize for the late start, but you heard DJ commercial, but we are here nonetheless. A PhD in Cultural Studies, Dr. Amina Blackwood Meeks is an award-winning writer, actress, children's book author, storyteller, founder, and artistic director of Ntukuma, the Storytelling Foundation of Jamaica, Liquor Story Fest, an annual storytelling festival for children, and Anansi Sound Splash, the annual storytelling conference and festival in Jamaica. From Anansi to Miss Lady or Little Miss Jingbang, she weaves tales from the loom of her practical knowledge of the Caribbean, her life skills as a mother, grandmother, educator, communication specialist, social and cultural policy researcher and analyst, political scientist, and farmer. Dr. Blackwood Meeks has successfully petitioned the Governor General for the proclamation of November 20 as National Storytelling Day in Jamaica and Jamaica Day for Schools, and is an inductee in the Caribbean Hall of Fame. And today we are absolutely honored that Dr. Amina Blackwood Meeks could take time out of her busy schedule to take us on her awesome journey that we're going to try and cram in less than an hour. Dr. Meeks, welcome and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much, Kishima, for asking me to do this. It is my honor, my pleasure, and my duty.
Awesome. Thank you. We're just going to jump right into it. And what better way to start than with your foundation, where it all started? What was your childhood like growing up in rural Jamaica?
Let me tell you that I did not grow up in rural Jamaica.
Oh.
I was raised by parents who grew up in rural Jamaica. And they raised me as if they had never left the country. And one of the jokes about me in my family is that I like quiet. So I living in Kingston. It too noisy, it too crowded, it too everything. And so the first opportunity I got to move out of Kingston, I moved to where the spirits led me. And the spirits led me to a place in St. Mary that is 1 mile away from the nearest house in any direction. Me and the bush and the peony wally and the frog them. I mean, learn so much about bird. Me and the September bird them don't get on so well because them come eat out your banana when September time come and all the rest of it. So I feel as if my spirit, my soul has always been a country girl. And my head knows that what we call country is the most important part of Jamaica. And if we could solve the problems of rural Jamaica, me say we would have pretty, me almost want to say like a coloring book, but me I go say pretty like the new money. We would have pretty like the new money because we have convinced people who live in rural Jamaica that nothing now going for them in this beautiful place. And we don't tell them enough how much they sacrifice for what we have in Kingston. When I went to live in St. Mary in 2002 and discovered that people were still going to the river to catch water, my mouth drop a ground. I mean, I say, I wonder if Kingston people know, say, they are able to go to the pipe and turn on water because country people are go river, go catch water. And then when one of my neighbors who is a farmer came to me one day to show me that he had reaped 28 pounds, I can't forget it, 28 pounds of string beans, string bean light, you know. So it looked like plenty. And he was full of joy and pride. Me couldn't do the maths. Me couldn't tell him. Because at that time, string beans was $20 a pound. Me don't know how much it is now. And my little bit of farming experience told me that it's 6 weeks between when you plant the string bean and when you reap them. And that don't include the plowing of the land. Me couldn't tell him that for 6 weeks, him earn less than $600. So, and then now we have the nerve to go to the market and tell country people, say, them things too expensive. But we can't say that when the red apple come on the boat cross the transatlantic trade. We pay it. And so there are many ways in which our brothers and sisters, aunts and uncles and grandparents outside of Kingston sacrifice so that we can enjoy the life we have in Kingston.
Wow. Reflecting as a little girl, what did you admire most about your parents?
My mother was the most loving person that I know and still know to this day. And I don't recall if my mother ever said, I love you in those words. But let me give you a couple examples. My sister and I, a few years ago, figured out why we walk to school some mornings. You see, when Miss Pearl have bus fare, you sleep until 6:30, you wake up and you get your breakfast and you put on your uniform and your little ribbon bow and you gone to primary school. You see, when Miss Pearl don't have no money, she wake you up 5:30 here on. The morning breeze nice, you see. Take a little walk. And we know like three little idiots. Hurry up in the morning breeze, man. And don't even realize we never get breakfast. You see, by break time, you see Miss Perla come with her thermos flask and her little basket. And she draw up 3 desks and put the 3 of us to sit down. Excuse me, Kishima, with our tablecloth. And she spread our tablecloth and she fed the 3 of us our break. And when we got home, wherever Miss Pearl have to find the dinner from, we never went hungry. That is love. Now, with our adult eyes, we often say, there must have been other children who did want to laugh and say, why, you get caramel porridge and hard bread for no lunch? And we imagine that they dared not, because somewhere in their being they knew that we would have said, Abe, but your mother don't come at school, come feed your door and laugh off of them. So those are the ways in which my mother showed us love. Another way, one never knows how life is going to turn out. But we often say to ourselves that we could never be numbered among the children who go missing. So there are 5 of us. And the 5 of us spread out over 3 secondary schools. Miss Pearl know exactly everybody timetable, including after school activity. She know who going to take the bus come home and she know who going walk. And so she knew when the gate must push open. You see, if when Miss Pearl calculate the gate must push open, it don't push. Wherever in the world my father was down by the corner, I take up him too, or play him domino. Him better get going. Then she send and call her two brother. Them better get going. Then one neighbor, so four of them, and then Miss Pearl. And Miss Pearl gave each of them a route because she knew which routes we could take home. You see, if a Miss Pearl find you upon the route, if you're not dead, she kill you. To make her go through all of this. But that's a profound love and caring. And so every time we hear, and I hear it too often, that such a child was missing and overnight was found um, in terrible circumstances. And the caregiver said, at least in one occasion, the caregiver said, you know, so many think the little boy did stop by so and so for sleep. Stop by with so and so for sleep. Miss Pearl, give you permission? I'm mad, you mad. So love and care go together. And so my mother lived that with us and for us every day, that she loved us. We can't go home and tell Miss Pearl so the teacher ran. Because before wrong come out of your mouth, you know say, are you wrong? My mother didn't wait for a parent-teachers meeting to be called. She scheduled her own parents-teachers meeting. And then you hear all your classmates saying, your mother have come, your mother have come. Here Miss Pearl halfway down the corridor. Miss Walcott, what I must beat her for today? Because you're up here a spoiler, you know. So those are some of the ways that me and my sister as well. I've never discussed this with my brothers, but certainly my sisters and I value this about how Miss Pearl demonstrated that she loved us.
Now, you attended St. Andrew High School. Can you pinpoint a moment from your childhood that has helped to shape the woman that you are today?
First of all, let me just big up Maxwell Park Primary School. Because I went to Maxwell Park Primary School and the promotion for this program is absolutely wonderful. Sometimes I read just stuck on Area FM. And I read it stuck on Area FM. And I hear this song about success story. And I start to imagine, Amina, what do you really understand or mean by success? And then I realize, I'm me who know advertise. and then my WhatsApp start light up from the teachers because I still maintain contact with Maxwell Park Primary School. This start light up from the teachers and say, is you going to be on Area FM? And I say, yes, tell everybody if you listen. So I big up Maxwell Park Primary School for the all of them, the children and the teachers down there are listen. Right. So you can imagine that leaving Maxwell Park Primary School to go to St. Andrew High School was a big psychological jump. The jump from primary school to secondary school is big anyway. Them only tell you say you grow big now. I want to know how you suddenly grow big. You was little just before the common entrance exam come out. How it come out and turn you big. So you need that kind of orientation. And then, you don't know nobody from Kingston 13 who goes to St. Andrew High School. Kishima, I am here to tell you that I am the first Kingston 13 girl who go to St. Andrew High School.
Wow.
And I am perhaps amongst the first inner city girls that went to St. Andrew High School, because me end up at St. Andrew High School 2 years after common entrance came into being. Before that, you pay money to go to St. Andrew High School, or you come from a prep school. So me turn up in this place now, and make me tell you, say Ronnie Williams' daughter, Hope Williams, is my prefect. Let me tell you, say, Maxine Henry is one of the senior prefects. Let me tell you, say, Elaine Wint are the head girl. Let me tell you, say, the daughter of the governor of the Bank of Jamaica in a Femi class. Sitting next to me as my father ambassador. At the first me. At the first me, I hear that these things are possible. So it's like I'm in a fairy tale. It's like in a story that suddenly you are You are in the midst of all the things you didn't even know existed. But my father was a revivalist.
Mm-hmm.
And my father come in like Bob Marley. He not think say, no, a Capleton sing say, no man no bigger, better brother than no man. No Capleton? Yes. The biggest man you ever did see was just a baby. That a Bob Marley. That was my father's philosophy. So me couldn't go home and tell my father, say, my mouth are open because me see all of these people. Me just have to learn to look upon them as people and know that in the way all your fingers are not alike, every people is not alike. and just meet them as such. I went to St. Andrew High School when the last non-Jamaican principal was there. Because up to that point in time, all our principals came from Scotland and Wales. So you know the kind of education that we are getting there. And after Miss Dawson left, Mrs. Saunders became the first Jamaican principal of St. Andrew High School. And she was sure of what she wanted to do with us. She would tell us at General Assembly, St. Andrew High School is a high school for ladies. And if you are not one when you walk through these gates, by God, when you're leaving, we used to laugh, you know, for me, no know what that. But I grew into an understanding that there was a hidden curriculum, which is a term we use in education, which doesn't mean that it is subverting anything. It's the curriculum that's not in the book. And the hidden curriculum was to make leaders out of all of us. And if you look around and you ask, who is this woman? Who is this woman? Barbara Gluden, Lana Goodison. Which school them go? Which school them go? More often than not, them go to either St. Andrew High School or St. Hugh's. It's not an accident that Mrs. Saunders came to us from St. Hugh's. So I had those moments. I had moments where the English literature teacher would pass around a book list at the beginning of each year from second form until the end of sixth form of books you should read. The books not in the exam, you know. She just want you to know say literature is an important thing. Albeit we are read James Joyce and all of these foreign people who we don't know about. But I think if Mrs. Curtin, I don't know if the practice still continues. I think if Mrs. Curtin were still at St. Andrew High School today, we would have Merle Hodge and some wonderful Caribbean people who we supposed to read, not because we're being examined by them, but because literature and the humanities should be part of what colors your heart. So me never have one special moment. Oh yes, me was the club presidents. You could not become a club president until you are in fifth form. How I mean, I end up as the drama club president in fourth form. But me end up there though. Mrs. Bogle was the faculty advisor, and she saw something in me about theater. So that was also a very good moment. Another good moment was when I became house captain. And the house captain now are the teachers, them vote, you know. So the teachers them vote and say, Amina, a house captain. And then I became senior prefect. And so all of those marked very important reflections. I'm not sure if when you're 12 and 14 and 17, you're saying to yourself, what do they see in me? Your chest just big up, so. And then as you grow into what you have become, you look back and you say, oh, is that them was a do? Them was a smadify me in spite of.
Wow. And I guess you've always had a knack for storytelling. When did this, develop? When did you realize and pinpoint that, look, I am a storyteller?
That's a very important question. My parents told us stories all the time, but I didn't know they were telling stories. The stories arose as natural parts of conversation. You remember when, if you do something, your mother tell you a story. My father never beat us, but he had all the stories of discipline. The worst story is if your father have to tell your mother say you're wrong about something. Cause you better take foot in your hand and run. Better Mr. Johnny did beat you. But him gonna set me spur upon you. So they were telling stories until one day at school a teacher said to me, "Do you realize you speak anecdotally?" Me did always think me was cute. So when I was at school for second and third form, we did Latin. So here your friend Amina now when the teacher say, "Do you realize you speak anecdotally?" So me I do Latin and Spanish, hear me. You know I'm enjoying the Spanish. The English is giving me a hard time. But I do not know how to conjugate anecdotally. Kishima, she never think it was funny and she never think I was cute. All right. And that was the first time I realized that there was something in me called a storyteller. I'm going to cut the story short because 1 hour is not a long time.
Before you tell us the story, we're gonna have to break for cash pot.
Okay.
So don't go anywhere. Stick and stay.
We need the money.
When we use Island Fresh with aloe vera, it make my skin feel so much smoother. So if you want to feel better and smell fresher, use Island Fresh with aloe vera.
Manufactured by Island Products, 934-0666.
The time is...
It is now 12:59. We are standing by. Listen up. Your top draw dollars. Pick 2, pick 3, pick 4, hot pick, and cash pot lunchtime draws up next.
This could be your lucky day. Get your tickets out and let the games begin.
Good afternoon. It is a Thursday, June 15, 2023. I'm Taiba. Welcome to this afternoon's Supreme Ventures live game draw. Now, before we begin, here's a quick look at our mid-morning winning numbers. All Supreme Ventures live games, they're being supervised by the Betting, Gaming and Lotteries Commission and observed by the independent auditing firm PwC. Now let's put some money in your top draw for $400,000. Here are your winning numbers, so good luck. First ever top draw this afternoon, we have the number 12. That's followed by lucky number 7. Your third winning top draw number coming down is a 3. After 3, what's it gonna be? 11. Just in case you have plans for the jackpot, you're gonna need 14. And now, let's pick your player with our dollars game. I hope you're feeling lucky. The winning numbers are coming your way. Let's start dollars off with lucky number 20. Next up, 22. Your third winning dollars number for this afternoon is a 31. That's followed by lucky number 14. Next up for dollars, we have an 8. After 8 is 35. Coming down slowly but surely, we are counting down to the number 34. 16 is next. 26. Up next for dollars, we have a 4. 11. Let's end dollars with the number 1. So now, for some easy winning with our Pick 2 game. The winning numbers are coming right up. And first up, we have 25. Your second Pick 2 number is 27. Once again, 25 and 27 are your winning Pick 2 numbers. Up next, you can play it 3 ways. That's, of course, our Pick 3 game. Here we go. And first up, we have a 1, your second Pick 3 number. That's 7, and your third and final number is 0. Once again, 1, 7, and 0 are your winning Pick 3 numbers. It's time to turn up your winnings. Get ready for Pick 4. And first up, we have a 1, your second Pick 4 number. That's 5. The third number coming up, 8. And your fourth and final number is a 6. Once more, your winning pick for numbers are 1, 5, 8, and 6. Now it's easy for win. What do you say we heat things up with hot pick? Here we go. This afternoon's winning hot pick number is lucky number 5. Congratulations to all our hot pick winners. Again, your winning number is 5. And of course, remember that you can win all of $280 for every $10 winning cash pot bet. Let's get ready to play our cash pot game for Thursday, June 15, 2023. You live to play it, but can you win it? Get ready to be a big winner, and let's see what the winning number is going to be. This afternoon's winning cash pot number is lucky number 16. Congratulations to all our cash pot winners. Again, your winning number is 16. Now let's mega your winnings, and good luck. What's it gonna be this afternoon? A white ball has been selected. And no, it's time for the monster winning. So, good luck once more. Let's see what color ball is gonna be selected for monster. Here it comes. It is the monster ball that has been selected. Remember to go mega and monster 6 times per day for cash pot for more chances to win. Again, the winning cash pot number is 16, like Mark Young Girl, and a white ball was selected for pick 3, pick for hot pick and cash pot, and for monster. The monster ball has been selected for cash pot. Let's have a look at the numbers, and of course, congratulations to everyone who won. And a huge congrats to our newest lotto winner who won the jackpot of $35 million. The winning ticket was purchased in Meadowbrook, so check your tickets now. And of course, Money Train promotion are come to Money Time. Players, you can win up to $300 on a $10 bet every week as a surprise payout. And for this week's Money Train, you can win all of $285 on 1 to 36, $295 on 0, and guess what? $300 on 00. Come back at 3 p.m. for more games you love to play. I'm Taiba. Have a supreme afternoon.
Hope you were a big winner. Play your favorite Supreme Ventures games every day and tune in for our live draw 6 times a day at 8:30 a.m., 10:30 a.m., 1 p.m., 3 p.m., 5 p.m., and 8:25 p.m. on this station. Supreme Ventures, making winners every day.
That was the lunchtime top draw dollars, pick 2, pick 3, pick 4, hot pick, and cash pot draws. Congratulations to all of today's winners. Join us again at 3 p.m. for another chance to win in hot pick and cash pot special pot draws. If you're just joining us, we are on the road to success and we're journeying with none other than Dr. Amina Blackwood Meeks. Now, Dr. Meeks, you were telling us before we went into cash pot, you got your knack for storytelling and a running that you had with your teacher that she didn't find too cute.
Yes. and then you asked me, when did I discover I was a storyteller? Yes. And I have to say, I didn't make that discovery. It was reflected at me in the way people who care about you become your mirror. So there are several persons who told me I was a storyteller. One of them was Mrs. Saunders, who didn't tell me when I became a storyteller. And I wish she were alive so I could say thanks. But at St. Andrew High School, the upper school would receive citizenship awards every year. And I received them for all my years in the upper school. So I was always a good citizen. And on one of those years, Mrs. Saunders gave me a book called Mother is Gold, which I never read for many, many years. And what Mother is Gold is all about is the role of women as storytellers in Africa. And then I have to say, what was Mrs. Saunders trying to tell me when I was in lower six? So I bless her and I thank her. So she told me that. So I used to write poetry and all kinds of things. And for our first Heritage Week celebration in 1977, I think it was, a gentleman called Eastonley, who used to work at API, now GIS, called me and said, "Me hear you can write. You want to write a program for radio for Heritage Week. No, sir. Me never even talked on radio yet. But he insisted he wanted one program. And because I didn't believe I could do it, I gave him 4 programs and he used all of them. So now I had to look at myself and say, oh, this year I do. And then there were people like Barish Evans, the late Barish Evans, who would tell me, Amina, you're a storyteller. And I would resent it. Professor Barish Evans, yeah, my friend, sis. Me did little bit. And now you get your big professorship. And the biggest ambition you have for me is to turn storyteller. How we are miseducated. Totally miseducated. And then, as I persisted in telling stories, Professor Rupert Lewis said to me one day, do you realize that the storytelling you do is part of the reparation agenda? And then I had to look at the stories that I tell. I had to look at the stories that I tell. Me, I disturb other people after me tell them, no disturb me. I had to look. It's called sharing space.
Yes.
And that's part of reparation, sharing space harmoniously. I had to look at the stories that I tell to say, yeah, there is storytelling and there is storytelling. And then I met Caribbean notables, Caribbean luminaries like Mark Matthews and Ken Corsby and Henry Mutu, who would tell me, Amina, you're a storyteller, treat it seriously. And now it's the only thing I want to be. Is how important it is. In some languages, for example, French, the same word that means story means history. And in some languages, for example, in Spanish, the same word that means story means give an account of. And that's what we do as storytellers. We tell our history and we shape our history in a certain way. We don't just tell our history to find ourselves in the world, but we tell our history to find a world that we can construct for others to live in happily and to give a different account of ourselves than the one that has been popularized by people who didn't treat us as significant.
Wow. And even you had several jobs before you went full force with storytelling, even though, you know, a lot of persons, since you were a little girl, would have said this to you. Just to condense it really quickly, you left the University of the West Indies with a degree in government and political science, and you've had various jobs which saw you in the classroom teaching history and drama. You mentioned briefly your stint in radio, and you also had some 15 years with CARICOM. How did all of these experiences aided you on your road to success and helped you, you know, to basically come full circle to what you are destined to do, and you have a gift?
Yes. Because of the way my parents spoke to us, I have an ear for proverbs and riddles. And so wherever I journeyed throughout the Caribbean, I would hear the riddles and the proverbs, and I would want to know where they came from. So that was a curiosity. When I lived in I had a children's theater group. It wasn't designed to teach the children to act, but to use the techniques of theater to develop self-confidence and self-love. And in that group, I had a little boy whose mother was Antiguan, but whose Nigerian father had never set foot in the Caribbean up to that point in time. And one day during the class, Adekunle told me a story that his Nigerian father, who had never seen the Caribbean, told him in Nigeria. And my father, who had never went to Nigeria, told me that same story in Jamaica when I was a child. Light bulbs went off. And I wanted to know how this could be possible. And you know, when you want information, information finds you. So the information was finding me, and I was documenting the information. And then there are several sayings, many things we say, like don't kill the goose that laid the golden egg, which are in fact the end of fables. But we don't know what the fable is. We just know, say we accept this as a truism. Well, in Antigua, they have a saying, moon a run till they catch him. And then one day I find one story from the fun people of the homie that tell us why we have the sun and the moon at the same time in the sky sometimes. And then I began to think that if I could find where the stories come from, I could find where we come from Africa, more or less. So I began to understand why Antigua has a number of stories from the fun people of the homie. I began to understand why in Jamaica we have so many stories from Nigeria and Ghana. I began to understand why Dominica has so many stories from South Africa. And then I began to learn that although we say that we were shipped from West Africa, and that is true, we didn't all originate in West Africa. Some of us were caught in Southern Africa and trafficked up the coast and then sold from the West. So the first time I came across a body of stories in Dominica called the cockeye story, my European ears went to work and I thought they were saying cockeye, like when something cockeye, it not straight, but they really were saying koi, Khoi, Khoi, as in the Khoi people from South Africa. And so that world opened up to me as to how we could track at least some of our history by the stories that we tell in our different locations.
Wow, and you have said a lot there. I mean, there's so much I want to branch off with what you have said, but in the interest of time, that kind of basically help us to understand how you use your Pan-Africanism to fuse and influence the stories that you tell. But some of us got a chance, an opportunity to enjoy storytelling as children, and the generation gap is real. As a storyteller, what are some of the challenges you experience reviving the storytelling tradition in the technological age of social media?
Every time I hear that word challenge, I have to ask myself whether I believe it or whether it's a word designed to keep us in one place. I understand what it means, but as we're deconstructing everything and decolonizing the way we have been taught to understand the world around us, challenge is one of those words that I find challenging, if we know what it means. Certainly one of the challenges I've had is that this society, which has such a rich oral tradition, don't take it seriously and still think we only have skin with teeth and realize we are taking teeth, keep a heartburn, or that is not everything teeth allow. And so part of my own mission is to get us to understand the value of the oral tradition. A long time ago, I looked at the Millennium Development Goals, which are now called Sustainable Development Goals. And I said to myself, why we never just read some Anansi story and see the relationship with the environment and sustainability and the relationship between the young and the old and the place of knowledge and the place of what we have given to the world, because all of those things are in our Anansi stories. And then Mrs. Winsome Hudson, the former executive director of the National Library of Jamaica, spoke at one of our storytelling conferences, and she said that if she were given an opportunity to clear the National Library of everything, she would have only leave the Anansi stories. Because in the Anansi stories, we have, and I had not thought of that before, so I thank her for teaching me that. In the Anansi stories, we have the evolution of our customs, christening, and wedding, and courtship, and planting and farming and all of these wonderful things. So we say we are in the knowledge economy, and there is so much knowledge that we need to access through our stories. How does that fit into the technological age? I think we have a responsibility because when we click Mr. Google or Mr. Chat or whoever them is, we do not see ourselves. And where we see ourselves, we do not see ourselves beautifully. And I don't just mean that we're physically beautiful because we know that we're all of that, but beautifully in terms of what we have given to the world. And so our Carimac need to train students, need to motivate our students to put in our proverbs, our stories online. We can't escape online, you know. Online is the way to go. In fact, we create online. The first World Wide Web is a Nancy something, a Nancy website.
Yes.
A Nancy WEBSIGHT. We cite up this thing a long time. And by the way, and Nancy is truly a global character. You think of any other storytelling tradition, and their central hero, their central figure, resides with them alone. And Nancy is all over the diaspora. And Nancy is in Europe. Me know because Europe called me all the time and said, come teach us a Nancy. In 1992, I was given a European Union Award to go to Birmingham in England to join forces with the BBC and a group called Language Alive to spend 3 months in the summer to train primary school teachers on how to use a Nancy to dispense the curriculum for primary schools. In 2020, I was invited to spend a month in Finland. Me just barely escaped COVID because as me come back, the place locked down. But to spend a month in Finland to teach them, listen to this, to run workshops on how to revive their oral tradition. So it's not like say we don't know what we're doing. But we need to marry the technology now because let me tell you why the technology is so important. You and I sit here for an hour and we say all these wonderful things, and all the students from Maxfield Park Primary School and the teachers and other schools who are listening, they listen and they are enthralled. And when this 1 hour is finished, then bow, like the recitation finish. And when them bow now, they go into this little contraption. And them go upon something. And it occupies their entire world. And if we know it is going to occupy their entire world, we are duty bound to ensure that we are part of what engages them when they are spending so many hours of the day on this. And also for people who think they know us. You know, them come here and them spend 3 weeks and them go back and them write the definitive history of Jamaican culture. And there is no counter from Amina Blackwood Meeks or Kishima Francis. So for all of those reasons, we need to get familiar. Me say, Kishima, me familiarize myself this morning with the technology, for I am in a place that don't have no Wi-Fi. And me run go buy one whole heap of credit. And me call up one young person. And me say, which bungle me must buy so me can get on my phone for Zoom. And him show me. And after him show me say, something for me iPhone, name personal hotspot. And me can connect up the person. You can't stop me now.
Right, and that is what it is about. As I hear you talk about how internationally, you went into Europe and you mentioned the curriculum and the work that you were doing there. I remember last year I was reading and you said that your wish is for storytelling to be used as a means for delivering the curriculum across subject areas in Jamaican schools. Are we any closer to making that a reality?
As a system, no. As an education system, no. We're still afraid of ourselves. We're afraid of John Couldn't run from ourselves. We're afraid of Nancy, him too little and too black and dare to be too powerful. We're afraid of ourselves. So as a system, we are not there. I have to say, however, that I know of many teachers whom I encountered when I was in the ministry as director of culture in education, and we call them culture agents. I know of many teachers and many principals who are possessed of the need to know and love ourselves and who are using storytelling not as a warm up or as a cool down, but as integral to the curriculum. And I'm glad you said across all subject areas, because we tend to think of stories as having only to do with language and language acquisition. But language and language acquisition in and of themselves are gateways to other kinds of learning. What stories teach science? What stories teach mathematics? What stories teach social studies? And so it is not locked up in a corner like we have the culture corner. And when we're not so good, we go in there. And when we're good, we can get to come out. And there are teachers, more and more teachers, who are recognizing that it is for the system to deal with it as something which is critical to how we learn.
And it's interesting that you made that point and brought up all subject areas, because there is an ongoing conversation that, you know, the effectiveness of the music, which is a form of storytelling. In your view, do you agree with the notion that the music contributes to the crime and violence in Jamaica?
If we say that our music has assisted to conscientize us, right? You have a particular kind of consciousness and conscience. We are admitting to the power of the music to do positive things. And therefore, we have to be honest when sections of the music do bad things and negative things. And we have to call ourselves to book on when the music is not. Why, for example, is Afrobeat taking over the world? Through the impact of Afrobeat at the moment, I get a real understanding now, a real appreciation of the power of reggae music and Bob Marley in particular on the world. It moves your heart. It is fun. But as that is happening, you're learning how you can be. Because everybody wants to can be better. So we enjoy the music that dumb us down, that tell us say that we're the best thing when we are fully done. And who wants to be that? We enjoy, sometimes me no dance to dancehall music. Me love the music of dancehall. But me used to dance to any dancehall song will come on, and you know, say sometimes all 10 songs depend on the same rhythm. So you start out, no, me not call a name, but you start out with a conscience singer, man, depend the dancehall beat, and you are rock, and then the next one, and by you reach song number 3, you realize, but I know one good thing me a dance to, wheel and come again. And so we need to be honest to say some of how we manifest is not good. And it's not just about the dance hall music or the reggae music. It's about our folk songs. There are some folk songs that were wrong when they were written or when they came on the scene. They were wrong then. Lip favor, liba, and she want lipstick, China, gal is a trouble to a man, was wrong. And we need to have the courage and strength of conviction to say, me not teach no liquor picnic. They say, woman a heavy load when Friday evening come and the man don't bring home the money, because that is not teaching the wholesomeness, the gender equity, and the inclusion that we say we seek after. Some things must just be left behind like we want to leave behind. Dan is the man in the van.
A quote from Amina Blackwood Meeks: what we teach ourselves to believe about ourselves is crucial. Absolutely love that one. But some of your accolades include the Order of Distinction in the rank of officer for your contribution to the development of the literary arts in Jamaican culture, and an inductee in the Caribbean Hall of Fame. Of all your accomplishments, and this is just two of the many that we're highlighting here, what are you most proud of?
I don't know if proud is a word. It's one of those words that I question. What does it mean to be proud? Because it kind of implies that other people not proud or not have nothing to proud about. I mean, I like that implication. But deeply satisfied that your own people recognize the value of your work. Because sometimes in Jamaica, in order for the value of your work to be recognized, you need a patron. You need somebody who knows somebody to say. You know, say? And sometimes you look on people who, and you say, then how them get that? Who recommend them to get that? And so it's satisfying that you wait and you wait and you wait. And you're almost like one of Nancy's son saying, but what about me? And then one day somebody say, we're going to call your name. It's very satisfying. It comes with a tremendous responsibility. In the theater, when you get a standing ovation, we say, and what will you do for an encore? So once you get that recognition from home, you say, Lord have mercy, me have to go tap that now. Me can't give less than. And that is very empowering for yourself and very liberating, I have found, for the people who are around you, because the more you try to be better than you were yesterday, the more you give them permission to also want to be better. I thought about that when I heard the song, I Am a Success Story, and I thought to myself, success happens at many levels in different ways for different people, but it's never final. It's never final. And so you have shining moments in your life that say to you, you can shine even brighter.
Wow, that is amazing. And you just made my next question redundant because you just put success into perspective. But your son, Neto Meeks, is a poet and an artist. The Art and Soul Neto Meeks Foundation was formed to support the rehabilitation of persons suffering severe disability after experiencing trauma. How is Neto now? And if you can just tell us a little bit about the foundation and its effectiveness.
Thank you so much for asking. I tell Neto he's my Milo kid. Forgive that little accidental promo. Because, you know, the food drink of champions, yes. Neto is a champion. Except for maybe the first couple months when he was kind of wondering why me. Neto is such a bundle of joy. You say, Neto, how are you? And he says, I'm alive and to be doing things. Yes, the foundation doing things, not as big a things as we would want to do, and that will come. But for example, he goes in Highgate Primary and Junior High School, assisted him, plays his video, I'm a hero, and then asks the children to recognize or to search in themselves to say what in them is heroic, and then to draw that on paper. So that's the major project that we take to primary schools at the moment. So we want to collect art supplies so that we don't have to say to the children, bring your own art supplies, but that after each encounter, Neto would be able to distribute art supplies, and that too will come, grace of God and the universe. Neto has been performing by himself and with his group. So last year he did a 35-minute solo performance at the Sky Gallery. Me nervous, you know, Kishima, me nervous, but he was word perfect. He performed with Takura and the Royal African Soldiers at the last Agrofest. Poetry Festival. As a champion, Takura is a champion. Me lift off me head tie to Takura and the way he has persisted with that. He performed for International Men's Day at Liberty Hall last year. He performed at Calabash this year, and sometimes me can't watch me nervous and my heart full. And this art walk, the 25th of June, he will be doing a solo performance at the art walk. So he's just amazing. He amazes me, and every day he gets better.
Wow, that is awesome. And we see how you just lit up talking about your son and, what he has been accomplishing and, how he's a fighter, he's not stopping. That is really great. Now, I saw several of your children's books on Amazon. Looking really awesome. But how much of an impact do you think your books would have if injected in the curriculum?
Me say, the books, let me tell you how me foolish, by the way. The publisher said to me, Amina, it's time to publish your books. And I say, I'm going to start with my children's story. Him say, no, start with popularizing your PhD. Me say, no, me start with my children's story. I'm going to publish one every year till it finish. You see, after me publish the first 4, me say, no, Amina, you'll need to live 400 years more. So abandon that foolish idea about one a year, and now we're working on a collection. Kishima, me have to say publicly that, so me send my book to the Ministry of Education, and there is a review process, and the book was reviewed, and the book was recommended. And all now, me can't hear said the ministry have money to put the book them in a school. Me no understand that. Because the book, one of the books, that's a good idea, is in Spanish. And it in a school in a Mexico. And it in a school in a Sri Lanka. Yes, because the artist, the graphic artist, Jaga Cosmodoro, is from Sri Lanka. And he's a highly respected artist in Sri Lanka. And once them see Jagat name on the book, them not have to ask if the book have substance. Them want the book. All right, so I don't know why it is taking us so long, and I don't know why money is an issue. And perhaps I should use this forum. I hadn't planned it, but you give me the outing to say, if the ministry can buy the book, then maybe there are these banks and insurance companies and other entities who have adopted schools. Call me and at least furnish the 5 or 10 schools that you are affiliated with these books. I read one of the books, Hello, It's Time to Build a New Nation, at Liberty Hall during Black History Month. It's Jamaica. And I read one of the books for the children, that particular book, and everybody was just stumped. In the book, I make reference to the national symbols. The children were just eager to say that they knew the national symbols. And then there is a section of the book where I quote 2 lines from the national pledge. The little picnic them stand up and cross them heart, and I say the national pledge. So there is no doubt in my mind that that the books have this impact on giving us a certain sense of self. And I believe, Bandura, one of the theorists that we study about learning, Bandura said you can give him 6 children from anywhere, from any background, and he will make of them what he will. I believe that we learn to be before we can be educated. And part of what we learn to be is self-loving, racially conscious. We learn to be patriotic. We learn to be compassionate. We learn to be human. And these are the things I am concerned with in my children's books. I'm also concerned with the generational bonding, because you mentioned that. So in 2 of the books, the little boy and his grandfather always apart. And in the other 2 books, the little girl and her grandmother always apart. I have to find a way and now for the two grandparents and the two children to meet up and say, what is this all about? What is it that you know, Grandma and Grandpa, that I need to know? And what is it I know that I have to teach you? Because in the African cosmology, it is said that the newborn and the elderly are at the same crossroads. But the newborn has brought a message that the elderly needs to get in order to make that transition. And the elderly needs to inform the newborn of what it is that they have come into. And that's my approach to intergenerational bonding. I don't see the gap. I see what it is that we have to exchange. See, the first time I get on a computer and me couldn't find, this is many years ago, and me couldn't find the document. And my 7-year-old niece said to me, Auntie, where did you save it? In my exercise book. So she had to teach me that. But she didn't have the wisdom that I have. And so we need to get together to share what we know and to love one another through what we know.
Dr. Amina Blackwood Meeks, I really wish I had more time. There is so much that we didn't even talk about. And just finally, I know somebody's listening and, you are their role model. They want to be a storyteller. What advice would you give to aspiring storytellers who are listening and little children across Jamaica and around the world who want to tap in?
Everybody is a story. And everybody has a story to tell. And you can begin with your own story and locate yourself in history. And your own story is, how did your mother meet your father? And too many of us do not know that. And once we learn how mother met father, we learn something about grandmother and grandfather, and we can go back to great-grandmother and great-grandfather, and then we locate ourselves as part of the continuity that we call history. History is not separate from us. So begin with your parents. Ask them what you need to know.
Wow. Dr. Blackwood Meeks, Dr. Amina Blackwood Meeks, thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule. We will have to organize a part 2 because we barely scratched the surface. You are a storyteller. This was absolutely interesting. It was amazing. I've learned so much. Thank you.
Bless you, Kashima. Bless you. And I admire you so much and all the hard work that you do. And there are so many ways in which IRI FM urges us to be the best that we can be. So I thank you and I thank the station. Bless you.
Thank you so much. Wow, this was amazing. And the messages are coming in. This person says, I absolutely love Dr. Meeks. And look, get her books in Jamaican schools now. And every kinty to laugh for true. Get it in the schools. Thank you so much.
Bless you. Walk good.
Stick and stay. See you on the flip side of this break.
Get a Juicy to Classic from Wendy's. Wendy's Dave's Classic, the juicier, tastier burger.
The time by Wendy's is...
It is now 1:40.
Jamaica's currency has a fresh new look. Introducing the new $50 note. The new $100 note. The new $500 note. The new $1,000 note.